everybody, and welcome back to the Sideline Eye podcast. We're here for our preview show, and we're looking ahead to Armagh's clash with Galway and Carrick this Sunday afternoon in the final round of the All-Ireland group stages. I'm delighted to be joined by former Galway wing half-back Declan Meehan, and he's going to help me look forward to the game. Declan, great to have you on, and I was just speaking to you off air there.
Cheers, Sean.
The last time I had you on was, of course, before the quarter-final last season, and it turned out to be a classic, probably a game of the year. This weekend, we're probably not going to get a repeat of that, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, you're probably right. Cheers, Sean. Thanks. Yeah, it's good to catch up again. I really enjoyed that game in Croker last year, and we know how lucky we were. And any day you win on penalties, it's just hard luck, and we've all been over that with the penalties and how that is not the nicest way to finish the game, or to get a result. But look, at this year will be different. It's a total new format again, and who's to say we won't be playing Armagh again later in the year in the knockout stages. So like that could be more interesting. I do think there's a bit of shadow boxing going on all through this. These games. Since the All Ireland series kicked off, you've Kerry losing and Dublin not going too hot, and different teams are seems to be holding their cards close to their chest. So look, it probably won't be the classic we had in Croker last year. Let's hope it's worthwhile for both sets of supporters and both sets of management as well, and we'll move on. I think both teams expect to be in the shake-up later in the season.
And that you mentioned both sets of supporters. There hasn't been that many tickets sold. I think the last time I heard there was 5,000 tickets sold for the game. Obviously in Carrick a long track for Armagh anyway, Declan. So I don't know what your thoughts are on the game being played there, or what do you think of that?
Yeah. Look, I suppose geographically it's a bit closer to Galway, and it's in Connacht, so that's, I don't know whether it's. I would have, when I heard the pairings up, I would say, if it was in Cavan or maybe even Longford, it might have been a better venue. But look, they've been over that as well. There was the call to Crow Park as well. That would have been great for both teams to get a run out in Croker. Probably that was the thinking behind that. But no, it was never going to generate the same level of interest as last year. Having said that, like Tyrone Armagh are very good travelling support, so I'm sure they're saving their sterling for later in the season for a few big trips.
And that's probably the thing, Declan, because obviously this weekend the most likely scenario is that Galway will finish top, but there's also a case that if Galway, Armagh and Tyrone all finish on the same points, all three of them are in contention for that top spot. But it's not a knockout game, while if Armagh finish second or third, they're into the preliminary round quarter-final the following week. Any supporters that's thinking about maybe saving for that week until it's knockout football, like, do you think has that had an effect on crowds, and it's going to have an effect this weekend possibly?
Yeah, it seems to be the case. Like, it's good, I was kind of critical of the whole system, that there was so many games and we ended up with only 4 teams being knocked out. But now it's good that the third team are still going to be involved, because it means that the last game isn't really a dead rubber. But in other groups as well as our own. So look at probably people are just taking the mature view on it now, and some people might wait for the following few matches. But I still think when it comes down to it, it's like Everton, when 2 sets of players go on the pitch, there will be pride at stake and a few old scores to be settled. So there'll be no doubt in whoever turns up for the match, whether it's 5,000 or 10,000, there will be some quality football to see as well. I've no doubt about that. Some of the Galway lads are have stuff to prove and places to nail down. So I'm sure Armagh's the same.
Probably the fact that Rian O'Neill isn't there, Declan, as we know, he's out suspended, and we're recording on Thursday night here, so we actually have both lineups, which probably helps with our preview as well. But You were saying there about players maybe looking to prove themselves and step up on that. With no Rian O'Neill there, it's a ready-made excuse for Armagh. But if you were the likes of Stephen Campbell or Connor Turbot, you're maybe thinking, well, if Rian's not here, I'm going to step up and I'm going to be the leader in this
Yeah.
forward line. Do you think is that how the Armagh forwards are thinking?
I would say so, yeah. Like Jesus, Stefan's starting, is he?
Stephen Campbell
Yeah,
starting, yeah, he's coming
yeah,
forward.
yeah. Well, yeah, like I've been really impressed with him this year. He seems to be, really taking on the responsibility or taking some of the responsibility off Reen anyway in Ulster and in their earlier games. So yeah, like the boys will like these lads just love football and they love kicking points and getting the better of their opponents. So like that's what it's going to be about. I think Armagh are still kind of finding their rhythm a little bit, and so that game will help both Galway and Armagh just to get that little bit more confidence and get a few more uh minutes into certain players, and I'm sure that both sets of management will be trying different stuff out as well. So it's going to be interesting to watch as last year was, yeah.
And obviously with Rian being out, how big of a miss is he, Declan, in terms of scoring power, in terms of he's obviously the
Mm.
joint captain, he's one of the
Yeah.
main leaders in the team. Like how
Ah,
huge of
yeah,
a
like
blow is that?
it's a huge blow. Like I think he has a good record against Galway. He seems to like playing against Galway. He showed up last year in a big way, and he kicked that massive equalizer from underneath the Cusick stand, and like I was going, how are we going to deal with this guy? The next time we play. But I suppose while we're looking admiring him, I suppose players are learning how to cope with him as well. So look at we just then the league this year was low scoring affair. It was totally different kind of football. I don't think we'll see a repeat of that again either. But I like Rain is really a class act, and he's sorely missed. But you know, at least he's back. He's back for the following week or the next few games after that. Anyway, I'm sure.
And with Rian gone, Declan, from a Galway perspective, it maybe frees up Sean Kelly as well, because I know Sean, he was probably going to be picking him up, but he loves going forward as
Yeah,
well, so it maybe frees him up for a more
yeah,
attacking role.
it does. Yeah, it does. He's in my mind he's not a natural fullback, but he gets that job, and look, he's very decent as well at it. But his natural game is attacking, and sometimes the best form of defense is attack as well. So he's definitely a key man on our team. I remember a funny scenario against our Kerry in the league. We actually had in the last 5 minutes, Clifford was following Sean Kelly back into the Galway full forward line. So that didn't happen too often, but that shows you where Sean Kelly wants to go. Um, so look, but Galway have a few other guys there that have got stronger over the last 12 months, like the likes of Hernan's come into it, and young Fitzgerald as well. So they're big strong lads who might have been a matchup for the likes of Reen as well. So we were definitely adding to the kind of capabilities around the full back line. We have a few other guys that are stepping up in that department as well.
And a few new guys you mentioned, Declan, like John Maher's come in this year and Peter Cook's returned, Ian Burke's returned. Porkchoice
Mm.
has really strengthened his team, because it was true at Galway last year in the All-Ireland final that they just didn't have the bench, they didn't have the squad depth to deal
Yeah,
with, the last 20 minutes or whatever, but they seem to have that now.
yeah, that's true, and that was a concern after the All Ireland. We're kind of going, yeah, we did great, but really have a squad to get back into the reckoning again? And quicker than I would have thought. We have found a few guys that are seen decent, or he's gelled the whole thing together, that are up to it. Like you mentioned, John Maher has an excellent year. He's a good option in midfield, and he's had a good league and a good championship so far. He's not starting now Sunday, but he'd be definitely a good man to bring in. Cook is a great addition. We knew he had the potential It's just he kind of had work commitments that meant he wouldn't be around as much as we'd like him, but that seems to be resolved. And then Ian Burke, like if we can, he's on top of his game, so like that's a real big addition to our midfield and forward line area. So yeah, it's a huge thing um for the team. I would say while those new additions are great, we still haven't seen the best from maybe Paul Conroy and Damien Comer and Shane Walsh in 2023 yet. So let's hope we see some of that in the next few weeks.
And obviously, Shane Walsh had a great battle with James Morgan in Croke Park last year, but Morgan's out injured at the minute, so we'll not see a repeat of that. But Shane Walsh, he can just turn it on. Declan, he seems like that sort of player.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter what sort of form he's in. If he's in the mood on Sunday, he could just turn it on and he could take a repeat of the last year All Ireland final where I think he scored 8 or 9 points.
Yeah. No, he had a game for all time in the final, but he has that in his locker, the pace and the kicking off both feet and that. I do think he'll never get that freedom again. Maybe Kerry would have allowed him space to play football, whereas I don't think any other team will. They were more focused in the final, I think, on Damien Comer than they were on Shane Walsh, and it nearly unhinged them. But look, that's all behind us. But the good thing about the Galway setup this year is with the likes of Ian Burke and with the likes of with Paul Cook, there's more than one or two guys to watch and to keep an eye on. So that will, I think, if we see more 2 points from 3 or 4 lads rather than 8 points from one lad, it's nearly a better. It's a better solution or a recipe for success.
I suppose that's the thing with Galway's forward line, Declan. Like, Comer and Walsh are the two big names, but you've Ian Burke there, you have Matthew Tierney, and Peter Cook's wing half forward. I think Johnny Heaney's the centre half forward, and they can all score. They're all scoring threats. Matthew Tierney got the goal against Armagh in the league. I think Johnny Heaney got the goal last year that brought in the first goal for Galway in the quarterfinals. So their forwards, they're all scoring options.
They are. Look, but they're the same guys. You've been dealing. Our man know them inside out as well. So look, it's you can match up with Matthew Tierney and Johnny Heaney and all these guys in championship football. I'd have no fear for the Armagh defence there either. I think it can be down to a few moments of individual brilliance, one way or the other, that could decide that this game coming. Like, we've seen a very cautious approach in the last 2 encounters, and it'll probably be more of the same. And then there'll be flash moments whereby somebody might get break the cover or break through the lines, whether it's Stefan or Shane Walsh, who knows. But look, we'll that's what it's going to come down to. I don't expect to be, even though it's not knockout and even though it's not the classic in Croke Park, I still think it will be tight and there won't be a lot between the teams when we're looking at it on the Sunday game, or when we're reflecting on this game.
I think that's going to be a big thing for Galway, Declan, isn't it? That they, I am assuming that they want this top spot. They want to win this game, get that top spot straight into the quarterfinal, and a week's break is probably the big goal for everybody, because should Armagh finish second or third, they're out next week again. Then the quarterfinals the following week. Like, it's a hectic schedule. You take any breaks you can, basically.
Yeah, definitely. That is the one motivation to finish top. It's a bit like the hurling championship. You want to minimize the games if you can. Avoid that extra round, especially you don't know who it's going to be against. So look at I think probably everyone would favor that top spot and take a week off. But it's all to play for. Nothing is decided really. So in our group, it could fall either way. But hopefully, if it goes goes our way and Torrikel, the lads will be delighted, But I'm not. I'm not betting on it. There was only a point or two between us the last few times, and that'll be this all again, I guess.
And I suppose
Um,
in terms of Galway, Declan, nobody's really standing out. I think you alluded to it early at the start of the show. There's nobody really standing out as genuine definites for the Ireland, but I think Galway's a name on a lot of people's lips, and just perhaps
yeah,
the way they performed last year, they've added to their team, they've strengthened their panel. Do you see them being genuine All Ireland contenders here, or
yeah. Yeah. Look, I don't know. It's favorite being talked like that doesn't really sit well with us in Galway. I noticed that it's Tom O'Shea and Peter Canavan and these lads who are just they're trying to get the deflect from they're trying to deflect from Kerry and Tyrone, and even the Dubs are at it as well. So I look at I know, and where I'm coming from with that is the last two times we had success in '98 and 2001, we were definitely off the radar and came at it as on from an outsider's point of view. But look at the Pádraig Joyce has a winning mentality, and his management staff as well, like Keane O'Neill and Divo and John Cannon, and that'll sit with them. They'll just take it in their stride, whatever way they don't mind being talked about in those ways. They'll just be going about their work. There's a mature team now in place who can deal with favourites tags or underdogs tag, and they're just going to go about their business. And hopefully, it's nice to be talked about in those ways. But I think we don't know what Mayo, Kerry, Dublin are really up to yet. So. And Tyrone likely, until the knockout stages come, that's when we'll really get a flavour of things.
I think that's the big thing about this new structure, Declan, isn't it? That you really don't know until there's the knockout stage comes and teams are going up against each other, and possibly like a Tyrone having to go to Killarney maybe in the preliminary quarter final, and it's all in the line. That's when you'll find out where these big teams really are.
Yeah, it's true for you. It's interesting with Kerry. I like Mayo genuinely really gave them a bit of a lesson, and they looked off, in the league as well. And you're kind of going, fair enough, it's the league, and we wouldn't get excited about it. But I know Jack O'Connor is never one that likes getting beaten, especially down in Killarney. So look at. It just there's a few question marks over them, and there's a few question marks maybe over a few other of the big guns. But look, at time will tell, and look at next weekend will be a step closer to the real thing. Then after that, I would say.
Yeah, we'll see what happens this weekend. We'll see who's all going to match up in the preliminary quarterfinals and who's into the next round. Declan, just before I let you go, I'll have to ask you, who do you think's going to come out on top in Carrick and Shannon? I suppose Galway, they're through anyway. They can't be knocked out of the group. They're obviously looking for the top spot. Armagh have never beaten Galway in the championship. I think it's worth throwing that in. So, do you think can Armagh do this, or are Galway going to be too strong, or how do you see it going?
Yeah. Let me see. Like, you're right. We obviously we'll want to finish top, and obviously it means a lot to Armagh as well. With Tyrone in the mix. So look, I would say, like, Galway. Everyone's talking about Westmeath and what how they have performed in our group, and genuinely, I think Galway were quite fortuitous in one or two decisions in halfway through that game. That just maybe the 6 point gap was flattered us a bit in that result. So I don't really know how good we are motoring really for So it's if Armagh bring a real heat and desire, and like if they had their famous support and the noise and all that, they could really trouble Galway. I think that, and they probably just the fight that's in McGeaney and Donaghy and these lads, they'll want to put one over Galway. So it's going to be fight tight. It's going to be a dogfight. It's if either set of players, if Galway players aren't in the right frame of mind, they could get caught out, and that's likely if they're just going through the motions. So look, I'm reluctant to go against my home county, but I wouldn't be surprised if we just got us this time, and maybe just underlined it for later in the year and say we have the measure of these guys, if we want it, because last year, like, it was. I'm sure it's still a sore one with the supporters and with the team, just to lose on the penalties. If the shoes on the other foot, Galway would definitely want to put one over Armagh. So maybe that might be the motivation that might make the difference. If Galway are a little bit off in the head department, they might just relinquish this one to Armagh. We'll see.
Yeah, it's a tough one to call, Declan, and obviously we'll find out on Sunday what way it goes. And as you said, possibly maybe a later date in the championship as well, if all goes well and both teams progress further down the line.
Yeah. That's it. That's it's going to be interesting, and like it's happening so fast. I'm still not getting used to this July or June July time frame. You nearly have the September thing in clock built into us, but we have to get over that now, I think, for this season anyway.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. It's in Carrick and Shannon, 4 o'clock throw-in on Sunday afternoon. For those that can't make it, the game's live on RTE, and we'll be covering it as usual, podcast previews and interviews and match reports and everything. So make sure to follow us on the Sideline Eye on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and follow us on Spotify if that's where you get your podcasts, or YouTube as well. Declan, great to hear from you. Glad to get you on and discuss your thoughts on the game, and hopefully we'll have a good one on Sunday.
Thank you. Yeah, we might see you down there. All right.
Good stuff. Cheers, Declan.
Take care. All right, Sean.